Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing stages dumper goes through during no contact. I provide audio and email coaching to help people try and get their ex back or get a new girlfriend or boyfriend. Check out my website for more details. www.dateme.tips. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing stages dumper goes through during no contact. If you've been dumped, then you might be wondering what you can do to try and increase the chance of you getting your ex back. I suggest implementing my version of the no contact rule. No contact is something that lots of people suggest you implement if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back. However, there are many different versions of a no contact rule that you can find online, and I believe that my version will give you the best possible chance of success. But in what ways does my version of the no contact rule affect the dumper's mindset? In today's podcast, I'm going to be explaining 3 likely stages that a dumper will go through if the dumpee implements my version of the no contact rule. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is calm. So when someone ends a relationship, they are likely to be expecting drama and turmoil. The vast majority of dumpers don't want to hurt their dumpees, but realise that this is likely to happen. They realise that the decision they are making will cause an earthquake of emotions and are preparing themselves for the fallout and the distress. If a dumper implements my version of a no contact rule ASAP, this will shock the dumper in a positive way. A sense of calm and relief will often flood a dumper's mind if the no contact rule has been implemented against them. It seems that the turmoil that they dreaded isn't happening, and a feeling of calm will start to flood the mindset of a dumper who is thinking to themselves, you know what, this isn't as bad as I feared. Now, if you are a dumpee, you might be thinking, well, I don't want the dumper to be feeling relieved. I don't want them to be feeling calm. I don't want them to feel like they are getting away with it, you might say. But you need to be listening through to the whole of this podcast and everything will become clear, because this is exactly the mindset that you want your ex-dumper to be going through if you ultimately want to try to get them back. Because as well as this, a feeling of respect for the dumpee will also grow in the dumper's mind as they realise that the dumpee has respected their decision. And this is so crucial if you want to try to get your ex back, because your ex-dumper needs to feel respected. They need to feel that you, the dumpee, have listened to and respected their decision, that they were no longer feeling comfortable in the relationship. Dumpees often have an almost selfish attitude to a breakup where they feel like that only their feelings need to be respected. They feel like that they need the relationship, and it doesn't matter what the dumper is thinking. It doesn't matter that the dumper is not feeling comfortable in the connection. It doesn't matter that the dumper is not feeling fulfilled. The dumpee will have an almost selfish mindset in thinking that it's all about me, it's all about my decisions, it's all about my feelings. And that's understandable from a dumpee's perspective as well as for why they are feeling this. But I do go into this in more depth in other podcasts, and today we are focusing, of course, on the stages that a dumper will likely go through if their dumpee implements no contact. So if the dumpee implements my version of a no contact rule, if the dumpee is giving their dumper space, if the dumpee is not pestering their ex, if they are no longer contacting their ex unless they receive contact first, the dumper will actually get to see that the dumpee is listening to them, The dumper will think, you know what, the dumpee is respecting my decision. They are listening to me. They've respected my decision to end the relationship. And that will go a long way in starting to regrow romantic emotional attraction in the dumper's mind that they are feeling for the dumpee. Because if the dumper believes that the dumpee is respecting them, that is huge. And not only will they start to feel like, you know what, they are listening to me, they're respecting me, they are really understanding my point of view here, then the dumper will grow romantic emotional attraction and therefore grow respect for the dumpee. So it's win-win. If you show the dumper respect, the dumper will most likely start to give you more respect in their mind as well. And that, of course, is very, very important if you one day want to try to get your ex back. Now, of course, there is no 100% guaranteed way to get your ex back. Nothing will work 100% of the time. But you need to be a good human being. You need to be the best person you can be. And whether you want your ex back or not, whether you get your ex back or not, you need to be trying to be a good person. And a good person respects what somebody says. A good person respects the decision that somebody has made. And if they don't want to be in a relationship with you, you can't force them. So you don't really have a choice in this. The only option is to implement my version of a no contact rule. And please check out on my YouTube channel my no contact rule playlist, so you can listen to it fully and fully immerse yourself and understand as for why my version differs and in my opinion is better and more successful than some of the other variants of the rule that you might hear online. So now let's move into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast about the likely stages that a dumper will go through if their dumpee implements my version of a no contact rule. And point number 2 is confused. So the calmness of point number 1 will often be accompanied by the dumper exploring single life, living the life that they felt they couldn't within the relationship. Now, a strange sense of confusion will start to cross the dumper's mind as for why they haven't heard anything from their ex. They didn't want to hear anything, but they did expect to. Consciously, they are glad that they aren't being contacted, but subconsciously, they did expect their value to be reaffirmed through begging, pleading, and reasoning. So in the subconscious of a dumper's mind, they are expecting a dumpee to beg, to plead, to reason. And although consciously that will annoy a dumper, although consciously that is not something a dumper wants to hear, and that will not help a dumpee's cause, subconsciously we have to understand that a dumper will be expecting this. So they don't want it to happen, but they are expecting it. And when it doesn't happen, it starts to confuse the dumper. Because as I said, the reason they are expecting this is because they made the decision to end the relationship. They became the dumper. What they said happened. And hence, at the time of the breakup, they became a higher value individual. The dumper became higher value. The dumpee became lower value. And the dumper will subconsciously be thinking the dumpee will reaffirm their high value by begging, by pleading, by reasoning, by saying things such as, I can't live my best life without you, by saying things like, I need you, by saying things like, I'll do anything to get you back. If you as a dumpee are saying those things, you are reaffirming the dumper's high value, and you are reaffirming yourself as a dumpee as a low value individual. If you want to get your ex back as a dumpee, you need to make sure the scales of value are even. You can't be looking up at your dumper and the dumper looking down at you. The scales of value need to be even. And therefore, if you beg, if you plead, if you reason constantly, if you don't implement my version of a no contact rule, then you will be reaffirming the value of the dumper, because the dumper will be expecting you to beg, plead, and reason. Now, not only will you be reaffirming their value as a high-value individual, you will also be consciously annoying them. Consciously, they will be very frustrated by hearing all of these things that you are saying and not letting them live their life. And as I said in point number 1, ultimately not respecting their decision and not listening to what they have said. So as a dumpee, if you constantly annoy your dumper, if you beg, if you plead, if you reason, if you excessively contact them, if you keep reaching out, if you don't implement my version of a no contact rule, then they will not respect you because you are not respecting them. And additionally, subconsciously, you are just pushing them even higher as an even higher individual where they will be looking down on you and they will not want to get into a relationship with someone with such low value. Whereas if you do implement my version of a no contact rule, if you never contact them again unless they contact you first, if you use the other hints, tips and advice that I give in other podcasts, please subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can check all of those out. If you do all of these positive things, then you will be confusing your dumper. Yes, on the surface level, they're glad that you are not bothering them, but subconsciously, they are starting to get confused and they don't understand as for why you won't reaffirm their value. And this will move smoothly into point number 3, and arguably the most important stage of them all from a dumpee's perspective. So now let's move into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast of likely stages a dumper will go through if their dumpee implements my version of a no contact rule. And point number 3 is curious. So a single life starts to lose its appeal for a dumper. The curiosity begins to grow for their dumpee. What are they doing? And with who? Are they enjoying life without me? Why am I feeling lonely, but they seemingly aren't bothered? Maybe I needed my dumpee more than they needed me. Maybe it was a mistake dumping them. Why haven't they contacted me? This type of curiosity will start to grow and flood a dumper's mind as time moves on. When single life starts to become stale, when the newness, excitement and honeymoon period of being single has gone, and trust me, it does. Single life does not stay exciting forever. Once you have lived that life, once you have explored the avenues you wanted to, once you've realised that being single is harder than you originally remembered, the dumper will begin to feel confused. The dumper will then move into this curiosity stage as for why their ex hasn't contacted them. They are not living a life which is fulfilled, and yet they was hoping that was exactly why they was doing what they did. A dumper ends a relationship because they believe life outside of a relationship is going to be better for them. They believe they will be more fulfilled, more excited, more opportunities. They believe that they can live life to the full outside of that relationship. So if and when it seems that this isn't the case, if and when it seems that single life hasn't worked out as they hoped, if and when it seems that their new relationship they got into was simply a rebound and it's already ended, if and when it seems that everybody they know around them is now pairing up and they don't have additional people to go out with and have fun with, the single life really starts to pull you down. And if their dumpee has implemented my version of a no contact rule, then point number 2, confusion, will move into point number 3, curiosity. And it will grow and grow and grow. The level of romantic emotional attraction will grow further and further, higher and higher. And if and when it hits a certain high point, that is when the dumper will decide to reach out to their dumpee. This is the moment the dumpee has been waiting for. The moment the dumpee will have the chance to build the communication structure that they want. And ultimately, if they do everything right, they can meet their ex, the dumper, and regrow a new connection, forming a new relationship on a stronger foundation. Now, I do not suggest as a dumpee that you are clock watching. I do not suggest as a dumpee that you are waiting around. Because although this is something you've always been waiting for, there is no guarantee it will ever happen. As I said towards the start, there is no 100% guaranteed way to get your ex back. A dumper will only make contact with their dumpee if they have regrown enough romantic emotional attraction, and unfortunately, this doesn't always happen. Additionally, they will need an ignition to spark the fuel that they have grown, and the ignition doesn't always take place. Although single life often fades away as something less exciting, there is occasions where a dumper will enjoy single life longer than others. There are occasions, rare as they are, that a dumper might meet somebody new who they do connect with on a deeper level. Now, this is unlikely in those early days. It's unlikely in the early weeks or months, but as time moves on, there is an increased chance that a dumper might meet somebody that they feel they connect with better. There is no guarantees. Nothing in the future is known for sure. But what I can say is that most dumpers will go through a period of reflection after an initial period of single life. Single life does not generally provide the answers after those first few weeks and months, and they will reflect on their life. And if enough romantic emotional attraction has been grown, this is when a dumper will feel that curiosity and they will reach out to their dumpee. The best way to grow romantic emotional attraction is to implement my version of a no contact rule. This gives you the best opportunity. You will not always get your ex back, but if you use my version of a no contact rule, you are also healing yourself at the same time, and that is just as important. You must heal from your breakup before you either get your ex back or meet somebody even better. And trust me, that is also a possibility. If you do everything right, if you go through self-improvement, if you use the hints, tips and advice that I give in my other podcasts and videos, you will see the light and you will understand that you can find somebody even better than your ex. It will become win-win. You will either get your ex back or you will find somebody even better. Always stay positive, because with or without your ex, you will have a positive future. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.
Yeah, if you miss your ex, we can help with that. Help you get him back, or we can help find you someone else. Yeah, Vincent Bo, the relationship coach, giving you some insight, bringing you a new approach. DateMe.tips, go and check the site, giving you advice, helping with your love life. Get your ex back or move to the next. Ain't no sweat, you know Vincent Bo got you. Finding love ain't no problem. Yeah, DateMe.tips, check it out now.